today. It's our pleasure to invite you all to World Food India and to our first session here. So the session is titled as Indian Food Processing for Global Tables, and as the title suggests, we are here to talk about diverse companies about their experience exporting and the role food safety certification plays in it. So I'll just do a quick introduction for the speakers, and then we can start off. So I'd like to start by introducing Guido. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for FSSC. He brings around 20 years of experience in the consumer goods industry. He spent most of his career in food and beverage sector and has focused on assurance activities. Before joining FSSC, Guido was with SGS, and his customer-oriented approach focused on compliance has helped drive sustainable growth for FSSC. So welcome, Guido. The next slide, please. Okay, I'd like to introduce Rouble Kataria. She's the Senior Vice President, Haldiram Snacks, has over 26 years of experience in areas like R&D, supply chain management, quality and operations. And she's also been instrumental in developing a range of products in different categories, from spices, flavors, syrups, preserves, to extruded products and emulsions. She's been instrumental in her past roles to develop products for the future and has created some unique ingredients to give signature products to brands like KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell. She's currently leading innovations, quality assurance, supply chain, CRM, and training at Haldiram. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Shrikant Kulkarni. He's head operations processing business Sahyadri Farms. He's a food technologist with over 20 years of industrial experience and has worked in companies like Britannia, Coca-Cola, Tasty Bite, and Nilons before Sahyadri Farms. Currently, he heads new product development at Sahyadri Farms, which is the largest farm producer organization in the country. He has a wide-ranging experience in food safety quality and has been instrumental in implementing management systems, FSSC and BRCGS, also Kaizens, and he's also implemented a lot of process validations or done a lot of process validations. Welcome. Next. I'd like to also introduce Anurag Mishra, GM Quality Assurance, Renuka Sugars Limited. Anurag is a food technologist by education and has spent over 15 years in the verticals of quality and food safety, and also has worked with several multinational companies in quality and food safety. In his current role as general manager, Sri Renuka Sugars Limited, he's responsible for building quality assurance and food safety at 8 mills, 2 refineries, 3 distilleries, and also co-pack units. He also leads the group's sustainability initiatives. Next, please. And last but not the least, I'd like to introduce Mr. Vikas Gupta, President and Global Head R&D from Tata Consumer Products. Vikas Gupta is a president, like I said, of Tata Consumer for India and international business. In his current role, he's been instrumental to create and execute innovation management framework and to accelerate new product launches across the food and beverage categories. Along with R&D program, he also holds responsibility for managing innovation strategy for the organization. He has over 2 decades of experience in NPD and innovation management across product categories. Prior to Tata Consumer Products, he also worked with GSK Consumer Healthcare for 10 years and also Unilever for about 3 years. He's a food technologist by qualification and an enthusiastic marathon runner. So welcome all of you. And we'd like to start this session with Guido starting off and then...
Thank you. You can start a presentation for me. Thank you. I'm Guido Dinjens. Thanks, Smita, for the kind introduction. It's my first time coming into India, so thank you for welcoming me in this event, but also my first introduction to Indian culture, I would say, which is fast moving already, I would say, to that. I'm going to introduce FSSC, lead the panel. How we're going to take off today is that we I will do a short introduction on FSSC, and I will set the scene on how we see certification against our 22,000 food safety standard. And then one by one, they will give a different perspective. So it's from the retail perspective, it's from a producer perspective, certification body perspective. So different angles to the food safety topic. To see it's like all business, let's say. We say if it's not safe, it's not food. That's our first statement I want to make, because otherwise you cannot do business. Afterwards, we have a session for Q&A. So please hold your questions, because otherwise it's like within 1 hour, we need to speed up a little bit. If you can go to the next slide, please. We will start with the first introduction movie of FSSC to give you a highlight on what we do. And I hope it will work.
Imagine a world where all the products we use and the food we eat can be trusted. This is the world that Foundation FSSC envisions. By providing certification schemes that safeguard global food safety and social sustainability for the consumer goods industry. With our schemes and digital solutions, we are leading the empowerment of brands to improve the supply chain, aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals, and building a future we can all trust. Our certification schemes, FSSC 22000 and FSSC 24000, are fully aligned with ISO standards. With FSSC 22000, we contribute to food security, health and well-being, and directly target the reduction of food loss and waste. FSSC 24000 endorses ethical business practices and accountability to fair labor. While our name may not appear on products, our values are embedded into all stages of the supply chain. Every choice and purchase made carries the assurance of safety, sustainability, and integrity for the benefit of the consumer.
Yep. Thank you. As said, we are a non-profit foundation, FSSC, so we are based in the Netherlands, in Europe. We exist for 15 years, and what we do is we say ISO-based management system. So ISO 20, the base of our standard, of our scheme is ISO 22000, and then we build a scheme around it with all qualifications and all certification requirements for certification bodies. So it will be a 3-year certificate that we can do. And what we do, what we include on top of the food safety is also that we adhere to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So also elements like food waste, food loss and waste are included, because we think it's important. We see that 40% of the food that you would all produce is lost along the supply chain. That's why in version 6 we included an element on that. It's going to be major important for that. If you look to our, what we want is creating a better world. That's our vision. And we want to contribute. We are only a small company, we are 50 people by ourselves, but we license 130 certification bodies, and they do 36,000 certificates around the globe. I will show you some figures later on this. As you saw in the movie, in our introduction, we have 2 main schemes. One is on the food safety that we will discuss today, and the other one is the social sustainability. Sustainability is on working conditions, fair labor, child labor, good work conditions. That's something that we introduced 2 years ago, and we are elaborating on that. It's also based on the PAS 24000. So everything that we do is in line with the harmonized structure that's based on the ISO structure. So if you can implement a standard, it's FSSC 20000 or 24000, it's with the same structure as ISO 9001, 14001, 45001. That's how we, build our business. And our standard, I think, it's accredited. It's by IAF, and it's also by the GFSI for the food safety standard, the Global Food Safety Initiative. For the 24000, it's SSCI, Sustainable Supply Chain Initiative. That's under the consumer goods. Both are under the Consumer Goods Forum. I hope you're all familiar with the ISO structure. I give a highlight structure on that one. I think after the meeting, you can have see the presentation and send it to you. But it's it drives on continuous improvement. It's a 3-year cycle that we do. You need to analyze your internal environment, your external environment, and see where your safety risks are. That's for all the standards that we have. Our role, next to, like say, the SSCI and the GFSI, we are the scheme owner, so we set the regulations, based for sure with the ISO 20000 as our core business, and then the all requirements around. Then there are the accreditation bodies, the certification bodies that have a license with us, and they go to your organization. And all reports come back to FSSC, and we do our integrity program on top of that to see if the certification does the right business and if there's a real certificate can be in place, or we need to do some adjustments and some review with them. I looked into the Indian food market, and I know you know better than I did, so I need to study it on front. But I see that you've got a very fast, like say, hometown market, but also an exporting market. I'm very surprised also on how you, like say, how your export is and how much potential there is externally, and how, like say, FSC 20000 and GFSI recognized food safety standards can contribute to that. So globally you're ranked number 2 in food production, and a lot of also agri-commodities that come in. So there's a lot of potential, like internally, at your market, especially also for food safety, but also for the exporting market. It's only as I listened this morning to the inauguration, it's a lot about branding. If you look into the growth into the Indian market, you see there's a huge potential already. I only took the 2025 perspective. That's next year already, not. There's a huge potential to grow. I see you number 5 in the world already on processing, and I think there's a lot of potential to grow. I see there's all the other countries are smaller countries than you are, not. So you've got a lot more environment, lots more land that you can build your processing on. And I'm very pleased to have the different audience here also that can speak from their perspective, how they see the internal market and the external market from different perspectives. Speaking about food, food is always delivered in a supply chain. So it's coming from farmer, it's going to distributor, factory, retail, and consumer. But how? Not. How can you transfer one to the other? And the key element for us is that you have a food safety and quality assurance system to ensure that the products can be trusted. So to me, trust is number 1. How can you ensure that if you make a product that is safe and that the next part in the supply chain can rely on that one? Certification is only an instrument to that. It's not a security. It's not assurance, it's security. The management system ensures that you do continuous improvement, that you study your process, and that the certificate only is like say a validation for you that you can show to the world. Speaking about GFSI, Global Food Safety Initiative, that's where they benchmark. So we don't want to compete on food safety. It's always quality over quantity. Not. So we even, like say, in FSSC, as a non-profit foundation, we have no sales target, not at all. We just want to have, like say, certificates out, company certified with the highest quality. That's why I think also we number 1 in the world. We just stressed on quality. Our integrity program is very strict for certification body, very strict also for internal procedures. And it brings benefit. It brings benefit by having a high quality standard that's trusted. It's more than a paper. Some highlights that are benefits for the recognized schemes. You've got access to the market, especially when going to export. A GFSI certificate is giving you the opportunity to export, to demonstrate that you adhere to the highest standards. So that enables trade, and it must be accepted for sure. From a buyer perspective, you can manage your risk. You can do your supplier audits by yourself, but then the companies that are the manufacturers, get all their facilities audited again over and over against the same criteria, maybe from another perspective, but it doesn't support their business net. With certification, they have at least a vast majority of the standard. And that makes buying simpler, far much simpler. And there's no competition between the standards of GFSI, BRC, IFS. I know it's my competition, I will just name them, but because we deliver all the same quality in the core, it's different. Let's say we are a management system, so we have the continuous improvement, for sure. But there's somewhat you need to choose what fits to your company. These are standards. I think you're familiar with that. Robust integrity program to support the SDGs. We launched version 6 last year, April. From this year, April on, it can be certified. And I show you a little bit of the elements that we change. One thing I already mentioned was to add a specific clause of food loss and waste. We are very adhere. We're also part of Global Compact. So we'll adhere to these SDGs. And food loss and waste is like one of the key elements in that. It's 12.3 of the SDG. And the quality control parameters, certificate authenticity. What we now added is we see sometimes that certificates are fake. To ensure that your certificates, one, you can go to a public register, all companies listed on a website, freely accessible. So you can go to a website, you can see which companies. And now we added like this QR code on the certificate, so you can check and go back to our website if they're certified. So to ensure that trust is number one for us. It's like a banknote. If you don't trust the banknote, it will not work. And we added a new scope because we have some different scopes in it. And we added a scope for trading and brokering. So now trading and brokering companies can also be certified under GFSI at FSSC. Sometimes FSC 20000 is a high qualified standard with a lot of requirements, which seems from management system interaction sometimes difficult for companies, especially for small and medium enterprises, to start with a standard which is like up here. That we have developed a development program, which is a stepping approach, which starts with a self-assessment and also with a conformity statement at level 2. And then within 2 years, it's expected that you go for it. So it's like a roadmap that we define for them to support them. Like say, it's all safe food. It's all under the same conditions. Or like say, it's a step-by-step approach to go to, let's say, full certification. Where are we? Like say, in the past we said 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. We are certified Europe, US, and Asia. But now you can see 45% plus is in Asia. It's a vast majority of our certificates. It's grown also. It's a fast growth is what we have, 12 to 13% year on, still growth in certificates. Now we are, I said, we are 36,000 plus, and we're still growing very fast on that. Give you the India perspective. You see that we're still growing very fast in India. We got now 2,600 certificates in India, all certified against FSC 20000 by the certification bodies for sure. So a lot of more manufacturers, processing companies are going into the FSSC certification, which also supports them in the harmonized structure for 9001, 14001, because then just, I would say, almost say plug and play. It's hard work, sorry for that, but that's how it is. Final. This is a global team. Smita and DV are in the room of this one. This is how we divide the world, and we have a local representative. So if you have any question, we have a booth, and Smita and DV are there to support you for the Indian market. Thank you for this part of the presentation. What I now will do, I will just go one by one. I will introduce the speakers, and then they come for their perspective on it. So first, I want to. Are you going to do this?
We have to change it because he has 4:30 hard stop.
So you want Vikas
So
first?
you will take Vikas first.
Yeah? I can do it.
And I think I missed out, so I'll just talk quickly.
Yeah, you can do it.
Just a little change in the sequence of speakers for us. I think Vikas needs a hard stop. He has a MOU to sign. So we'll start with Vikas, but while we are just getting ready for that, I have to introduce Nilesh Jadhav, and it's my miss. He brings 23 years of experience in certification industry, and he's specialized in critical areas like project management and strategic transformation. He's also a recognized authority in environment, health, safety, and food safety management systems. Been with SGS since 2007, and he has successfully led various portfolios within SGS, and now he's Director Business Assurance. I also want to introduce Dr. Darshane. I think most of you here will know. He's Strategic Advisor for Southeast Asia and a colleague from FSSC, so yes. I'd like to call Mr. Vikas Gupta, Tata ka film.
Thank you.
The film will play.
Yeah. We all have dreams. But a vision is what guides us. Do you envision a better tomorrow? Do you dream of driving powerful change? At Tata Consumer Products, our vision is to build better lives and thriving communities. And how do we get there? By passionately growing and innovating every day. To us, the means matter as much as the end. So, we march towards our goal by firmly holding on to our values. Integrity. Remain fair, transparent, responsible and ethical in our conduct. Agility. Be proactive, adaptive and quick to respond to the market. Excellence. Always be driven to deliver to the highest standards for the company and our own development. Empathy. To understand before we act, encourage diversity of thought and work together to build real value. Ownership. To take full responsibility for our actions and to nurture the communities we work in. So dream with purpose and show the world how we aim high, take risks, break barriers and stay determined to create, nurture and grow, all to make lives better. Tata Consumer Products. For better.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. Can I have some energy? Good afternoon. Thank you. It sounds better because I thrive on energy, otherwise it's very difficult. Okay, so I think this presentation, this video helped me to set in the context. I would like to believe most of the people in room, barring some of the foreign delegates, may not be aware of Tata Consumer Products. But I chose this video because this video spoke about not the products which we sell, but as an organization, what we stand for. A lot of people know us as an integrated food and beverage company. We come from the Tata Group background. If I look at Tata Global Beverages, which is a parent organization when we transformed in 2020 to be Tata Consumer Products, we have a legacy of 50 plus years in India. But our organization at heart, the way we operate, the way we work, we are actually a startup. We are just 4-year-old as an organization today. I'll take a minute to talk about R&D because that's my core forte. When Dr. Darshini and Smita reached out to me and then wanted me to talk at this panel, I was like, I'm an R&D guy. What do you want me to talk on food safety? We do everything which has food safety. But then, I do realize there's a lot of stuff which we can talk at this forum. So at R&D today, at Tata Consumers, for us, innovation is one of the strategic pillars. And when I say innovation, it's not about product launches which we do, it's about everything which we do in the organization. The way we have evolved, the way we are running our processes, the way we have integrated organizations in last 3 to 4 years. Any guess in last 4 years, how many launches you can imagine the organization of food and beverage scale would have done in India market? Just any number. Sorry? No, that's a top line number, not the number of launches. We are talking revenue. Okay, we as an organization have actually come up with 100 launches, and we achieved that milestone in 3 years of being set up as Tata Consumer Products. Yeah, that to us has transformed who we are in this organization. We are a powerhouse of multiple brands. In most of the categories where we operate, we are either number 1 or number 2. Tata Salt, Desh Ka Namak, as all of us in India would have been, this one. We command 40% of market share in India. Tata Tea has been with us, as a brand. It has nurtured all of us from ages. We are talking of between us and Unilever, we closely manage in terms of who is number 1, number 2 when it comes to volume and value share. When we integrated Soulful, it was about millet story. So we have grown leap and bound, and that at the heart of whatever we do, our commitment, be it our employees, be it our customers, be it our stakeholders, all the partners who are, whom we engage in this ecosystem, we stand for better. For better in everything which we do. That's our commitment at the heart of organization. And part of that commitment is about our commitment to food safety. Tata as a brand stands for trust. And therefore, anything which we do for us to build that bridge of trust with consumers, food safety and food quality has to be at the core of whatever we do. And that's what we put out loud and clear as an organizational policy when we talk about food safety and quality assurance systems in our organization. And this runs across the business categories where we operate. I wouldn't spend much time. This is a list of the fact that we are committed to what we do in the organization. Some of the certifications, which is around, say, for example, organic certifications, and the way with Organic India integration, we have really ramped up our commitment, not just only to the certification, but also the way we have mapping the supply chain, making sure that food safety is at the heart of what we do. I thought I'll just bring up this slide because when we want to talk about what we need to look at as an organization from the lens of food safety, it's very important to understand what are we talking of challenges when it comes to food safety. And when I look at this, and I was putting this slide together, I realized India is not unique in many ways. I think this is a challenge which can be seen from a wider lens of India and larger Asian market. I think we have magnitude of supply chain complexities. A lot of it is related with the fact that we still continue to deal with a lot of small players. There are multiple exchange of hands, and that becomes, we still have a lot of sourcing of materials. India is a market from, say, Kirana stores. And therefore, when you ask about certification, when you ask about traceability, these concepts are unheard, still in a lot of part of India market. Adulteration is another big challenge. And when you double click on adulteration, you will realize, obviously, the top of mind, people would imagine that the cause of adulteration is people want to make profitable, want to ramp up the look and feel of the product. But you will realize it's also about lack of awareness as well. You talk to multiple partners, and they don't even know what they're supposed to follow as part of good practices when they're dealing with food and beverage, commodity ingredients or specialized ingredients. India as a market still has a lot of street vendor base. So all of us enjoy in the, some winters of Delhi, we like to go to Bittu Tikki Wala and have a tikki. We talk about calorie, we talk about food safety, we talk about traceability, but a lot of India-based still thrive on street food. And that's another big challenge, unorganized sector. How are you going to bring the concept of food safety at that level? I would say in last 1 decade, a lot of improvement has happened. There is a lot of awareness through various government initiatives, which in India we're trying to build awareness, but these still continue to be the challenges which we deal. At a consumer level even, a lot of awareness, which is still need to build in. Consumers are in India, again, we are one market which is extremely price sensitive. You have a same commodity at 10 rupee lower price per kg than a brand which is probably committing you to have a quality. Consumer doesn't see the difference, or their willingness to pay for that 10 rupee extra does not exist. And in the way we have become global, COVID showed it to us. We have moved from being a very rural-led community to very urban-led community. So if you put all these 3 factors together, there has been a lot of, I would say, sporadic incidences of food safety, contamination, health hazards, etc. All that put together accentuate the kind of risk which we deal with food safety. And this is prevalent across all the, I would say, larger Asian market where we look at. I decided to pick up 2 or 3 things, which as an organization, we are trying to do to overcome, given the 5 minutes time, I thought we can only do justice to 1 or 2 things which I feel are on the top of mind. So in next slides, I'm going to talk through some of the interventions which are a top priority for us, and as an organization, how we're going to deal with them. I think first and foremost, I spoke about supply chain complexity as a big challenge, unorganized sector. Our business is not very different. Predominantly when you look at tea, salt, commodity businesses. Yes, with recent acquisitions, we have moved away from with a strong commodity-led organization to a very integrated food and beverage organization. But one thing which we have done extremely well, and I stand very proudly to speak about it, we have built end-to-end traceability in our supply chain. We can today track right from raw material at the supplier and at the farmer end, until our distributors. I think the last mile which we have to cover is to the retailer, which is work in progress, and I've been told by end of this year we would even achieve that. So I've used this one example of a recent launch, which was Tata's, we launched Himalayan saffron, and this is a work which we did with the saffron board in Kashmir, wherein every batch, every box which is getting packed, the certificate exists. So as a consumer, if you buy this pack and there's a scanner code on the back of the pack, you scan it, it will tell you exactly when was the saffron which is inside the pack was plugged, what were the parameters of that when it was tested. So that's the kind of end-to-end traceability what we aspire to bring. And to me, as an organizations move into their journey on food safety and bring stronger measures and controls when it comes to traceability and transparency in communicating it to consumers, that's where consumers start building that trust. And that's where the food safety comes in. I think I thought I'll pick up one example from one of the recent integrations which we have done, which is Organic India. Organic India stands for two propositions. One is everything they do is organic in nature. And second aspect of it, what they have brought to table is their herbal supplements, where their commitment has been that we provide to consumers what nature produce. So when we were having these discussions in the initial stage, we realized that they don't use any of their components which have got extracts into it. So if you pick up an ashwagandha capsule, it is actually ashwagandha, whole ashwagandha into it. And the whole philosophy, which was very appreciative, was the fact that this is what nature produced, and I'm providing to consumers in that form. But what was even more impressive in terms of their commitment to food safety, because when you deal with commodities which are plant produced, when you're talking about supplements which are coming from nature, one of the assurance you has to be how confident you are on your supply. How confident are you, how rigorous you are about the certification process, and how confident you are about the safety of those aspects. I think a lot of us read recently about this whole US news on cinnamon. And cinnamon being tested, I think there were 40 brands, if I'm not wrong, in US market, which US FDA picked up. And predominantly all of them were found to be very high lead content. A lot of it was actually from Indian origin. Yeah. So the fact is, when you're running a business like this, for your commitment to food safety, Organic India manages around 2,000 farmers, 10,000 acres of land. They are probably one of the very few organizations worldwide who have actually got their entire process certificate right from farm till the produce. They have 100% traceability in their supply chain, and product efficacies are tested. They are exporting to 25 plus markets right now. And to me, that's a commitment through collaboration. Actually, they have been invested in with farmers from generations. And for an organization to really stay committed to what you want to stand for, what you want to deliver to consumers, it's very important aspect of how you build the partnership and build that trust and invest into your commitment when it comes to food safety. Yeah, so I think it's very impressive. Recently I met Food Chain ID guys, and they were one of the first auditors to the certification process. And it was very impressive, and agency is giving you an assurance that you deal with guys who are one of the best. Yeah. I think the last part of this entire food safety journey, and this is something which I am personally very passionate about. I think we are dealing with new generation problems. So solution for this new generation problem has to be again new. And while you may continue to do a lot of testing, aspects of it, etc., I think we have to future-proof ourselves. And one of the aspects of future-proofing is to invest into science and technology. Is to invest into how you are going to preempt what can go wrong, and therefore upfront prepare for it. So again, I just chose one of the examples to speak about it. I think many of us have read in newspaper about challenges with the MRL, the pesticide issues in tea, and it's really one of the big challenge in food industry. And how do you ensure that you're able to deliver to consumer with that promise of food safety? Some of us closer to industry may know till end of 2023, there was almost 5% rejection on pesticides. That's when FSSC decided to bring stringent norms on the MRLs, and they introduced, I think, 20 plus testings to be done. and they brought down the levels to 0.01%. And right now we are looking at high double in terms of rejections. Since we have association with plantation business, I was recently in a conference and we were discussing what's the main cause of such widespread prevalence. Imagine a tea garden which runs into hectares and hectares of land. There is no way manually you're going to supervise this. A small infestation which starts with one part of the business, one form of the farm, it's very difficult to identify. And then by the time you recognize it, become a widespread. And then you have no choice but to get into widespread. I think we are dealing with that problem separately, and probably I'll bring into forum when we have successfully cracked it. I think what we have done is how do we bring rapid testing to these at a farmer level and empower them before that product comes into the supply chain and becomes difficult to trace, how we can empower. This collaboration work and investing into technology is a piece of work which TCPL recently did with NIFTEM. I don't know, some of you guys might have seen it in newspapers, and today we are signing an MOU immediately after this event, wherein we have been able to create a testing method at a very, very affordable price, where you can actually, in 10 minutes, a farmer at farm level can basically test the tea for pesticides. Yeah, so we're just in the process of scale up. So I think the way I would like to wrap up, in present context for food industry, I think food safety is not a matter of choice. It's no longer an aspect of whether how much you are committed to it, it's a way of life. It's a hygiene at which any organization which wants to stay committed to consumers and want to grow has to show that commitment. Yeah. So on that note, thank you. Thanks a lot. You have been great audiences. Yeah.
Thank you, Vikas. I don't think that you need introduction and the Tatas too. So as a token of appreciation, I would like to give you this. I know you have it to go and for the opening ceremony. Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to now invite Ms. Rouble Kataria.
Good afternoon to all of you. Overwhelmed by the kind of full room which is there. I think the speakers get the energy from that. So welcome to the session, and I believe we will be able to meet up to your queries and clear the clouds in the mind or whatever knowledge we can impart. So basically I will keep my presentation very focused to the food safety, though I have spent a decade of time with Haldirams, and I think I can talk over more than 10 days at least on Haldirams as a brand, about the challenges, about the journey, about what we have achieved. And it is such a charismatic brand because there are no learnings which we can take from the industry, and everything is innovation, So still, I can't stop myself from sharing the start of the journey, because from there the food safety also will be connected to my presentation. So when I joined Haldiram, the stage of the couple of snacks was there when we were into the automation. Me and Vikas today catched up during my round to hall number 4, and we were discussing that let's catch up and deliver some good exchange of talks together, because this is a very homegrown brand, and Tata is also homegrown, but yes, journey is very different from Tata and Haldiram. So yes, going back to my days, when I came to Haldiram, it was a day of automation, and if you have tasted a snack called nutcracker, वो मूंगफली चढ़ा होता है, उस पे बेसन रहता है, and then that nutcracker was going into the automation that time, and we were struggling with the machines because there is no such learning. So then we started the automation, and from there we are now onto the tons of production which are taken daily from a plant, and it is one of the renowned snacks. When I talk about nutcracker, I go back to the days where mirchi was coming from a local vendor, and today we are having the certified EIA vendors for the red chili which is used on the nutcracker. So it's a journey. This was my first time when I was working on the FMCG side. When I came in the second innings to Haldiram, where I was hired for the retail sector, which is QSR, I again came to a stage where samosa and kachori was, getting automized. Now think about a situation where we live in a country where our institutes like hotel management and food technologies. I'm also a food technologist. So food technologies institutes of this, era, they do not teach that how to make a Raj Kachori and how to procure the spices which are very authentic. We still are working on the very limited cuisine, which is more of sandwiches, continental. If we talk about Indian, it's more of the dosa teaching. And these are the teachings which we get our people onto the brand like Haldiram's. And then I think Haldiram and other, I would not shy away naming like Bikaner Wala or Bikaji or Om Sweets. And these brands are also acting as institutes to make our next generation learn that how Indian food is getting made and how it is getting tasted. If these brands would not have existed, I don't think that the existence of Indian food would be so strong in the industry. So that is one of the attractive factor for me to work along with such brands. So coming back to the food safety. So when Vikas was talking about the kind of SKUs and the kind of complexity in the supply chain, ask me what kind of complexity we deal at Haldiram's. It is 100 innovation. I think a great applaud to Tata and Vikas team. When I talk about Haldiram, I think we are dealing about 300 kind of sweets day in, day out at one of the section which is called as showroom. So there is an outlet when you visit Haldiram. There is a section called as showroom where is sweets, and there is a section called as restaurant where you get the fresh food. So if I made in totality, I think we are dealing with the 1800 kind of SKU day in, day out. And from that SKUs, if I figure out couple of names which you will very quickly connect that these are very unorganized industry, and I totally buy in his point of view that we need to be starting it from the scratch, from the raw material procurement. Makhana, Makhana is one of the industry which is very, very unorganized. It has become a superfood, but we don't know really that who are the organized vendors of Makhana, how these SKUs will be dealt with. Like, talk about Javitri. It's a spice. Talk about dal mot. It's a lentil. These are the products which are very, very indigenous to India, but we still talk about milk. Milk is something we have only limited 1 or 2 vendors in the system which are EIA certified. So we have to be also taking hand along and supporting and whatever is needed to build in the farm level food safety standards. I think we are working a lot on it, but we have a long way to go on it. So one takeaway working in this industry for more than 25 years, I feel that it has a lot of work to be done on the raw material front, number one. The second is something which I will also come as a concluding remark during my presentation, is on the choices what we make. So choices, I think we, as he has mentioned in his presentation, that the choice which we have, it is not something which we have to choose that, okay, we want a food safety or we don't want. It is something as a prerequisite which we should have. But my question is that whether we own it in our own space of work, I feel that answer is not 100%. Because at the person level who is a worker and then it's a supervisor or then it's a plant head, we have to really own it. We have to own that I am the responsible person for my limited 10 by 10 even square foot of area where I'm standing. I have to own the food safety. I think that onus came to us first. We start demanding from the organization and then from the governing bodies and then from the certification bodies and then from the people like consulting us, okay, come and do the food safety implementation for us. I think this is something which we have to be owned when we are right out from the college. For the young people sitting over here, when we are right out from the college, I think we have to be the brand ambassadors of the food safety in India itself, because it is something which we know our country the best, and nobody else can come in our country and tell us what to do. So this is something which they are supporting us to do, but it is our duty that we should own the food safety. So, so we will talk about And then, swiping in into a couple of things which I talked as a beginning. Definitely everybody knows that the kind of growth in the exports which we are seeing in the coming years is humongous. Is anybody, coming to India to make a startup, or any MNC brand like Tim Hortons came recently, and many other brands looking up to as India as a market? Do anybody don't want to capture this export market which is reaching to a 25 billion size? Answer is yes, everybody wants to capture it. Now the question comes, how? Do we have that knowledge? So that question has to be going to the next stage, that we should be knowledgeable about these things. So definitely I would say the projected growth in India is definitely a stamped kind of statement, and we know that this market will be growing, whether it is of export or it is of incoming MNC brands. Definitely Indian food is very well accepted. You know that Indian spices like turmeric, or Indian cooking methods like steaming and cooking, everything is very well acknowledged. I know that people coming from outside know now what is dal makhani, or what is, they connect with the Tata salt, and they also connect with all the kind of Indian local foods. Yes, the next step is definitely we should have certain systems in place. There are opportunities. These are some of the things which we are all buying in. There are certain opportunities in the traditional foods which we have to be taking forward, which I talked about. Talk about the spices, talk about the organized sector of the raw material, talk about the milk. So these are certain opportunities. When we talk about making a barfi, we need right quality of milk. When we talk about making good snack items out of peanut, we need a right quality of peanut, right aflatoxin standards, right kind of heavy metal standards. So all these things are required. These are the challenges which are there in the traditional foods. Then if we talk about, yes, there are standard global food safety standard, but again the onus comes to us, that how we are ready to accept those standards, and not only dependent upon the certifications, which I feel that our first jump is always towards a certification, that let us have that our plant certified. I think that should not be target. And the onus is from the top to down, and even from you train your team down the line also, that they should also not be having a mindset of having a plant certified and jumping onto the conclusion. It's a journey. It's a journey of, having the right system sets, right raw material specification set, making the vendors strong, taking them along with you, making them educated, and then getting onto the system and leading to the certification. Certification is a certificate of trust, and that should come with the right methodology. That is something which is a bigger opportunity in our industry. Definitely, we need to be mitigating the risk in the FSMS, which are already, we know, I talked about it. I think you all know, you are from the same industry. If we talk about, there are different, when we say that, okay, we need FSMS, we need some, kind of systems in the plant. These are certain things which we can rely upon, and we can set our organizations, manufacturing units, our teams, our people. We can be talking about these. We can choose, pick, make different combinations out of it. But yes, we should be looking up to these systems. If we talk about Codex, Codex is a general guidelines which tell you what to do and how to do. When we talk about, I will just touch base at single liner so that everybody is onto the same page with me. ISO 22000, yes, it is a basic framework how to achieve those things which you know through the certain guidelines. Then you go to the FSSC regulations. These are certain standards which stamp your guidelines with the certain standards, and then the last stage comes on to the certifications. But again, I am reiterating the point over here, that when you start your journey from knowing the guidelines to putting up the standards to executing it on the floor and then having a certification, always remember these all should have a prerequisite of having a onus. Own the food safety quality. Don't own it just for the sake of certification. Second is, your raw material vendors and your suppliers should be the part of this journey. Otherwise it is not a journey, it is not a certification. And then, of course, we talk about, when we reach this journey to the certification, we talk about mitigation of risk, because it leads to the certain good initiatives and good achievements in the organization, which is more about, trust from the vendors, from the buyers, and we should keep continuous monitoring on it. I will just skip this because I've talked about it. So there are certain things I have not mentioned the companies, but some or the other time people sitting here might have, come across a situation where you have, a container being stuck. I have faced that situation. My team has faced that situation. A container being stuck, and maybe, the business is dripping down. The containers which were going earlier last year are not getting dispatched this year. Why? So these are certain things which tell us that the consistency of the food safety and the systems which we formed and learned is not there. These are the indications. So for example, if you have made a food safety system, you have to be consistently driving on that. आज आप घर में जाते हैं, आज आप अपने बच्चों के साथ या with your kids and with your husband and husband with the wife is not consistent in the behavior, do the trust is there? I don't think. Trust has a very important basic line, a consistency. Trust cannot be there for a day one and then day two. If you are the leaders of your own, field, people sitting here, my colleagues and my friends, do you remember a date when you became a leader? A team member, forming a leader of a 5-member team or leader of a 100-member team or leader of a company or a CEO of the company. Do you remember when you became a leader, a date? Anybody? I don't think anybody remembers that when do we became a leader. Leader is a consistent behavior which we display in and out to achieve that position. And it's a consistent behavior which you display to your team in your behavior. You walk the talk, what you talk, you walk like that. What you walk, you discuss like that. And it is a consistent journey of year on year, and one fine day people start taking you as a leader because they form trust on you. And that trust is equally on the organizations, on the food safety, on the product. When you deliver your product day in, day out, day 1 to day 100, your product is performing on a graph which is not peaks low, peaks down. The buyer and the customers and the exporters and the importers form a trust on your product. And your product becomes a leader. And same way you are also a product. I feel that. A product becomes a hero product because when you become a hero product and you become a brand, when you consistently deliver on the promises and commitments which you do, and people start noticing you and people start trusting you, and trust is an outcome of the consistent behavior. So that kind of things you have to keep in mind while delivering a product, designing the food safety systems and delivering and consistently monitoring it. So this is one of the commitment we should all do within our organization, within our teams. That is the biggest, I feel that is the biggest opportunity in our teams currently in our area of work. Yeah. Yeah, I am getting an intimation that wrap up early, which is very difficult for me. But yes, I will try. So no, not at all. It's just a lighter thing. Okay, so there are certain challenges in the exports. So this comes out of my training kind of personality. So you have called a wrong person because I'm a trainer and I'm a quality person. So it's a mix. So I will wrap up very quickly. And so this is something, whatever I talked, if we don't do this, there are certain bigger risks attached to it. There can be regulatory challenges, of course, which are non-repairable. Brand reputation, of course, is at risk. And we, of course, need a robust FSMS with due diligence, applied very consciously and day in, day out, monitored very, very consistently. I think that is something which is on my slides. There are certain tools which I would like to just touch upon that we should follow. There should be some self-audits, starting with the self-audits. And self-audits should not be an eyewash or that we are scoring. We score yourself, be the self-critics. Self-critics is very important. Don't shy away for what you don't have. So do some self-audit, and then basis those self-audit, try to plan some training sessions where you found some gaps in the self-audit. Then do some strategic partnerships with the vendors or consultant, and then implement your systems, and certifications will come at the later stage. There are certain standards which I think he has already touched upon, and coming presentations will touch upon. There are organic trends, there are sustainability trends. Digitalization is of course coming as a trend in every field, so it will be there. And then definitely underlying aspect is we have to be abiding by the global standards if we want to enter into the era of exports, and we want to be leaders in that. I guess this is something from my side. And that's it. And I think Q&A will be on the later stage. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rouble ji. So, this is a token of appreciation.
Thank you.
I think every house has Haldiram, I can say.
Yeah. Every kitchen, I think, is a vision that should have the. Thank you.
And now I request Shrikant Kulkarni to preside over. Try to stay in 5 to 7 minutes.
Sure, sir. Sorry, I've taken your, time.
Not an issue. I will definitely wrap up within the time. Okay.
Vikas, I think he's left.
Yeah, so very warm welcome to all of you.
We're not running the video because we're short on time.
No issues. Right. So very warm welcome to all of you. And I think Vikas and Rouble has given lot of insights regarding the food safety. So I will not be going in too much deeper. Okay. This is the food safety, what they talk about the consumer products and the B2C, can say. But here I represent the Sahyadri farms, has a different business, basically into fresh fruits and vegetables. So the food safety in fresh fruits and vegetables has a lot of challenges. Being an agriculture commodity, so not only the internal, but there are certain external factors which are beyond the control of human beings or anyone. So maybe the climatic conditions, maybe the policies of government. So there are so many challenges, and in that also, meeting the food safety norms, meeting the food safety standard itself is a challenge. So this is the campus of Sahyadri Farms, Nashik. And we also have one more campus at Nanded, which actually is in the citrus processing. So maybe video is not there, so can see a pic, okay, right? So this Sahyadri Farms has been established in 2010 with a vision to be a largest farmer producer organization that will help all the farmers in India with a solution, end-to-end solution. It's not that farmers are having or holding a big land. They all are small and marginal farmers. That means they have the land of below 2.5 acres. So it's very difficult to be on that scale with these fruits and vegetables, meeting the food safety right from the farm itself. Because the seeding goodness is the tagline of Sahyadri Farms. So the food safety should be there right from the seed. So many of us are using the agro-commodities as an input to many of the products. As Rouble said, Vikas said, so food safety should be in the entire chain. It starts from the suppliers, starts from the raw material, then it goes for the further processing, then the final outcome is there. So when you have a good quality or the raw material which complies the food safety, then might be the rest of the processes are much easier to control the food safety at different stages. So the vision is to be a largest farmer producer organization, to bridge the gap between rural and the urban communities. That is what the vision. It's by making the farming profitable and sustainable. Look, any business, it becomes sustainable when there is a profitability. I must say, without profit, no business will run for a longer period. So it is very important that all the stakeholders in the supply chain should be in win-win situation and also complying to the food safety norms. So it's not by choice, it's a way of life. Everyone is aligned with that. And nowadays, everyone is getting aligned towards the food safety. That is the culture that India and the Indian farmers and the Indian consumers, rather farmer and consumer, are actually going through that phase. So by providing safe, healthy, affordable farm produce while caring for the environment, so all the stakeholders, as I mentioned, should be in win-win situation. So this is just brief about the Sahyadri. It's all about 26,000 farmers are connected with the Sahyadri farms. They are following all good practices, Global GAP certified. They are giving the good food to the export market, not only to export market, but also to the Indian consumers. When we say about the food safety, so it should be compliant to the product which we are going to export it. That comes in mind. But why not for the Indian consumers? Why not for the Indian community? So we are also focusing equally on the Indian community so that everyone gets the safe food. So we're the largest exporter of grapes from India. We're the largest processor of tomatoes in India. We're the largest processor of citrus fruits in India. And we're the largest collective of farmers, and it's growing on. So let's talk about the food safety and why FSSC. So everyone knows consumer is the ultimate for every business, and without that, no business will run. So if the consumer drives this safety, food safety, then by default or by, can say, it's mandatory for all of the stakeholders or business to go for the food safety. So I guess consumers should be more and more knowledgeable about the food safety. So Sahyadri is making aware all the consumers regarding the food safety through various platforms, what exactly is the food safety. And definitely, as I mentioned, I am representing a company where we are actually producing a fresh farm produce and exporting it. So the biggest challenge it's connecting the consumer with the farmers. The farmers should know the consumer requirement, what exactly is the consumer requirement, and accordingly the entire things were driven for the food safety. So what is the ultimate aim of the farmers? The farmers get benefits when the 100% farm produce gets utilized with the best price. That is what the farmers want. That is what the farmers' requirement. And what is the consumer requirement? When he gets all the produce which is safe to eat and it's with the affordable price. So these are the things, how that can be linked through the food safety. The FSSC that actually gives the guidelines, roadmap to all the stakeholders to take the actions to grow the business. It gives the path so that everyone can follow. And this not only gives the food safety, but believe me, it also helps in the profitability, it also helps in the business growth, and it also helps in giving the trust to the consumer. So that is what Rouble already said, that ownership is the key at each level. The food safety should be owned by that particular situational leadership. The situational leader, who is that leader of that particular area, he should take the ownership of food safety. That's exactly what the Sahyadri Farms is doing with the farmers, because 90% of the food safety happens at the farm level for the you can say these fresh fruits and vegetables. Rest 10%, which is in the control, that is taken care at the processing or at the packing house things. So it comes farmer, the consumer, and in between is all about the post-harvest management. So what comes in post-harvest management? The perfect example for post-harvest management, to control the residue at the farm level. That is the key challenge for us, and we proudly say that we have overcome that challenge with lot of farm practices and with lot of farmer education and lot of we spread lot of awareness to that. Then it's harvesting. It's again one of the very key in the post-harvest management. The transportation, the primary processing or packing, the pre-cooling. Here it comes the pre-cooling, which requires actually good technology so that the shelf life of the farm produce that will get enhanced and good quality product or the safe product that is reaching to the end consumer. So these are all the stakeholders in the supply chain. I must say, right from the farmer to the post-harvest management, the food safety is driven at all the stages of the supply chain in different manners. Okay. And what we required for that, a very robust, globally acceptable, effective system which provides the guidelines, path to produce safe farm produce, just like FSSC. And as we are connected with the farms and farmers, global gap is equally important along with the FSSC to us. So that should include all the stakeholders, as I mentioned earlier. The farmer should connect with the global customer, and it's benefiting all the interested parties for a profitable and sustainable supply chain, right? So if there is no profitability, believe me, lot of shortcuts will be taken and food safety will be hampered. 2 minutes, ma'am. Yeah, not more than that. Thank you. Okay, so that is what is all about the business model, you can say, which FSSC helped us to produce the right from the farm to the consumer, the safe food produce. And this FSSC providing the global platform, it's connecting directly to farmer with the consumer. So challenges, as I already mentioned, what we face, the nature of the product. All fruits, vegetables are seasonal in nature and these are perishable in nature. So very sensitive to climatic conditions and the temperatures during the entire supply chain. Nature of the business, again, it's a seasonal business and it's a time bound. All the activities should be done within that stipulated time. We can't go beyond the stipulated time, unlike the processed foods, because it's a round-year activity, but this fresh produce handling, it's a seasonal activity and time-bound activity. So that's why we need a robust supply chain. External factors like unfavorable climatic conditions, particularly unseasonable rains, affecting the quality, due to which the pesticides residues are the major concerns. Uses of pesticides are high because of the unseasonal rains and the climatic conditions. So the chemical residue management, which is a chemical hazard. It's a labor-intensive work. There is no automation at certain stages because it's by default you can't have some automation. So harvesting, packaging, so it's a semi-automatic. So there has to be manual intervention. So again, food safety has to be complied with all the persons who are handling the product. Understanding the customer requirements, the changing rules and regulations, the changing MRL levels, these are the challenges. And the maintaining traceability from farm to the consumer, that was the biggest challenge we're having, and aligning all the stakeholders. And the benefits, what we actually had with implementing all these food safety management systems. So the context, defining the context is in proper way. What are the business risks? What are the business opportunities? What are the things that we need to be proactive to have a safe produce to reach to the consumer that we could manage? Even there is unfavorable climatic conditions, the risk is minimized. Adopting the process approach. So it's an input, process, and output. So every process requires input, which processes and gives the output. So the food safety at each stage is very important. It's effectively led to the teamwork. Objective setting, clear objective settings, and the transparency in the entire chain that has actually helped to maintain and to improve the food safety in our entire system. As it's a labor-intensive process, from people-driven to system-driven is very important, and that change has actually happened through the implementation of the food safety management system. So it's triggered all the entire chain with continuous development, and the root cause analysis, as I mentioned, is now the way of life as a food safety management system, because with the improvements only the food safety is going to be stronger. Overall, all the stakeholders are aligned. So biggest benefit, or rather I would say, it's journey towards the food safety culture. It's the journey towards the food safety excellence. This is what the food safety culture policy, its plan, its implementation, its monitoring, continual improvement, then changing the habits, mindset of all the farmers, working persons, all the external service providers who are indirectly associated with the chain, which are integral part of the system, the value chain. Then it's all about the accessibility to global platform to connect and increase the customers, resulting in the business growth. So these are all the benefits of the implementation of the FSSC. So this is where the food safety is in Sahyadri. This is what we believe: take no defect, make no defect, and pass no defect. This is all about the food safety at Sahyadri Farms and the benefit. So thank you very much for patiently listening to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shrikant. Here is your no defect gift, basically. Thank you. Appreciate your time. Okay. I know him so well for so long time, I can make a joke with you. Thank you. So, can I request, can I request Anurag to take a stage, please?
Yeah, that's okay. I will be to the point because we have only 7 minutes, and definitely I will be finishing my part within 7 minutes. I am Anurag. I represent Sri Renuka Sugars Limited, the biggest sugar manufacturer in India. And Madhur is our brand only, so I mean, you can keep buying that. And rest assured, it's the safest sugar, I mean, among the category. So, I mean, when I talk about food safety in commodity, so just Google the word commodity, you will find the copper and sugar, everything at the same place. That's not justice to the product. We should start telling the commodity it's a food. And I'll take only a minute. I mean, you can see these two pictures. One is curd, one is a bowl of sugar. Curd is manufactured, FSM is in place. Good manufacturing practices are followed, practices, people, subject matter expert, hygienic facility, hygienic design, everything. Everything I'm telling you, if you're buying any cup of curd from manufactured in a good company, you will find all these stuffs. But what happens? If I'm telling you, let's meetha ho jaye, if you don't have Cadbury in place, what you'll do, you will take 1 spoon of sugar, you will mix it, and you will consume it. So don't you feel whatever is being there in curd manufacturing should be there in sugar manufacturing? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah, that's what I want to make a picture to in front of you. That anything which is used in food, whether it is ingredient, commodity, please take that as serious as you are taking these high risk category foods. Yes or no? Yes. The reason is, the research said if you are inoculating sugar with a bug of salmonella, it will stay there for 14 weeks. Definitely it won't grow, but it will remain alive in that bowl. And if you're mixing that bug with the sugar, with the curd, you're done. Okay, and we know, what happens if we consume salmonella if you're not immune to that. Okay, it's a pathogen. And it will create a hell amount of problem in your life. It can remain lifelong. The side effect of salmonella contamination will remain lifelong. 28% people, they do have these kind of stuff. Okay, so that is the reason I am just making that it's not a commodity. Please start treating ingredients, sugar, rice, dal, whatever is there, start treating this as a food. And the moment you start treating these stuff as a food, the FSMS will play a big role. And that's the reason schemes like FSSC, which is GFSI approved, play a very big role. So there are two types of manufacturers. One is the multinational companies. They do have workforces. They have the money. They can travel. They can send people coming from USA to India. They will send, supplier quality assurance team. They will come. They will do the audit. They will give you a gap. You have to close the gap. But there are other type of manufacturers. They don't have money to travel. They don't have subject matter experts. But they need the ingredient. They want sugar. They want other food commodities. So if you have schemes, if you have systems like FSSC in your manufacturing facilities, definitely you can build that trust and you can make yourself as a global player. If you have a FSSC certification in place, definitely, you can just showcase to your buyers that we are FSSC certified. Then your business, the possibility of, getting, notices is too much high. Okay. So benefit of implementing FSSC, definitely, most of us panelists, they have talked about it. I will tell you very basic one, the logical one, what I do. If I am selling sugar to Gulf, there are three, manufacturers, they are asking that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stuff, how you can help us. So I'm building a trust in case I have FSSC in place. I am telling we have a basic FSMS in place, basic requirements, which are globally accepted. And the good thing about FSSC schemes, like they keep evolving. They started with version 4, 5, 5.1, now 6 is there. And you can see that, Guido was talking about the food losses. They're talking about hygienic design. They're talking about quality control. So these are the evolving food safety requirements directly or indirectly impacting the food safety of the product. Okay, so that is the reason starting with the commodity part. When you have FSSC in place, definitely the culture, I will not be reading it out, you can read it out, but I'm giving you a summary of it. If you have certification in place, that gives you a kind of a confidence to the buyers that definitely, this manufacturer do have a basic one. Yes, they can add on something based on their risk of the product. But if you have certification in place, it gives you a kind of a competitive edge when you are, running your show, country like India, where we have hundreds of sugar mills. So why should people give us X paisa premium and then why should they buy us? So these can be the business enabler. And wherever I am going, I am telling you, please don't take food safety as a cost center. Make it as a profit center. I am representing Renuka Sugars Limited. I am representing sugars industry, which is known as a commodity one, but I am making sure that the food safety is attracting the business. If food safety is attracting the business, and if you are able to calculate the return on investment on food safety, trust me, any money you are asking from your management, they will give you. And that's how quickly you can just have a look about our organization in the website. But this is our food safety. We are the first one of the first sugar company to implement FSSC. Most of our facility. We are the first sugar company in the history of sugar manufacturing facility to get the CII Trophy Award. None of the sugar industry has won it. We were the first one to get it. And the third one of our sugar manufacturing facility is AIB certified. Most of you, any of you, if you are aware about AIB implementation, you can't think of implementing AIB. But that is the reason I'm telling you, if you are making food safety as a profit center, you will get the money from your management and then you can be a proud like I am. That's how we have to take food safety in the business. So that's all, 5 minutes done. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Anurag, for the energetic presentation. Can I request Nilesh to present? We have exactly 5 minutes because there is a next panel starting here in a few minutes. So just to respect that.
Yes, so very good evening, one and all. The disadvantage of being the last speaker is that whatever you wanted to speak is already being spoken by the earlier panelists. So you can consider this session as a recap session, because whatever I wanted to touch upon is already being discussed at length. Moving on, I basically wanted to discuss about the food safety management system certification for the Indian food industry, and most importantly, the challenges what the Indian industry goes to it when it comes to the overall compliances around the food safety, and how the overall certification can help the Indian food industry to manage few of those challenges in a very comprehensive manner, so that the business processes are becoming smoother and the businesses can grow in a sustainable manner. So that's the reason the food safety management system plays a very important and the critical role in the overall ecosystem. Now the challenges have been already talked about at length by all these speakers, but I think the fact of the matter is, when it comes to this particular industry, it's still highly fragmented. And the another fact of the matter is that the supply chain is very, very complex. And due to this, it makes it very, very challenging to establish the traceability of the ingredients. And if you fail to establish the traceability of the ingredients, then the concept of ensuring the compliances across the ecosystem, that is from the farm to fork, at times becomes a challenge due to the complexities in the fragmented supply chain. At times, the non-compliance to the standard. Now, there are so many standards are evolving every single day. When it comes to the import countries, their requirements are changing at a very regular manner. So unfortunately, if the industries have not been well acquainted with the changing regulatory dynamics, and if they are unable to make those compliances in place, then the cost of consequences and the overall consequences becoming quite severe in nature. At times, the lack of suitable infrastructure, it can be in terms of the transportation, then the warehousing, then the cold storage, especially in the rural areas, leading to the spoilages and the challenges in maintaining the food safety. And the consumer awareness, though I think it's a quite extreme transformation what India has been going through it, wherein the awareness has been enhancing every single passing day. But due to some of the global standards, which is also evolving at a very fast pace, sometimes that also becomes one of the bottlenecks for the Indian industry not to have all the applicable compliances in place. When it comes to export, I think most of my colleagues have talked about it. The biggest challenge is, at the end of the day, your product remains same, but that product is having the export to the 10 different countries, and those 10 different countries are having 10 different rules and the regulations. And again, those rules and the regulations are quite dynamic in nature. At times, the testing requirements are very sophisticated in nature, and the industries are struggling to get it tested locally, and due to which, at times, the consequences are like, if there is a deviation, if there is an uncompliances, it can result into the consignment detention, import rejects, and then also the costly product recalls. And if you look at some of the statistics, and it's quite alarming in nature, that if you talk about this year, year to date, 44 consignments have been detained. The import releases have been done. And then also there are close to more than 500 products wherein the European authorities have raised the serious concern about the cancer-causing chemicals being found. Also, there are more than 400 products wherein the EU authorities have been raising the serious concern that it's having a dangerous contamination of the heavy metals like lead, mercury, cadmium, pesticides, fungicides being found above the permissible limits. Now, these consequences are really alarming in nature because, unfortunately, if these consequences are evident, then apart from the detention and the rejection, your future business can be also adversely impacted, and it can take away the complete fortune for your future business operations. So it's very, very important that all these rules and the regulations around the food safety is being identified, consolidated, and fully complied. Then and only then the sustainable business growth can be ensured.
I think we may have to close because there are people waiting for the next session already.
Just one point, and then I close it.
My apologies for this.
I think the role of the certification body in the overall process is basically to facilitate the journey between the food operators and then the various rules and the regulations what all these import countries are talking about. That capacity building needs to be ensured, and making sure that the appropriate and the relevant certification schemes are being recommended, and also having that responsibility and the accountability that the effective implementation by the certified bodies and the certified facilities are being in place, because that's the only way we can deliver on the overall safety objectives what we are talking about. I think in the interest of the time,
yes,
I take a pause. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nilesh. My apologies for this, but I think we have been pushed now by the organizers at this stage. So, Guido, you want to say thank you one line, and then let's, please, there is a NIFTEM organization, student organization, they want to give an award to you. So once you finish, please come out. They would like to hand it over to you. Do not leave. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you all speakers. Thanks for the organization. We stretched a little bit of 30 minutes, I guess, over time, but I think the topic was like so engaging for everybody, and they all would like to talk about food safety, which is a compliment to all. And Nilesh, thank you also. I will give you extra time next time. I put you first. There's not really time for Q&A, but everybody is around, so please come to. We have a booth also in hall, I hope it's hall 1, yes. So come along and then we can answer your questions for sure. Thanks for making your time. It was really great. I see a lot of passion. A lot of things about people business. People make food. Right? It's not the process itself. So training is also a key part of it. Thank you for attendance and staying along with us. And see you around. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, audience, for your patience and encouragement.